Most people think you need a pile of cash to buy a business, but in reality, the best deals are built on leverage, not luck. Today, Beau Eckstein breaks down how to buy a business with little or no money down, using the art of creative capital to engineer freedom faster than saving for it. Hey, Beau. Most people believe buying a business requires a massive down payment. I can't possibly afford that. It's probably the most common refrain you hear. Why is that such a common misconception?
I mean, we're working with a gentleman right now, and he found a construction company, existing business. The purchase price around $1.2 million. It's not in front of me, so seller's going to do a little bit of a carryback. This guy has worked in the construction fields. He's like a W-2 worker, right? He might make $60,000 or $70,000 a year, but he took the time to find a really good business that he feels like he has some good transferable experience to become the owner of it. He sees the upside. And this business probably has about $250,000 a year in SDE, which is seller's discretionary earnings. So he's going to swap out his $60,000 or $70,000 W-2 for $250,000. Obviously, he's taking on the risk of owning a business. He's getting a SBA loan. But this guy, he has maybe $25,000 or $30,000 liquid, and he's not using any of his money. He's actually going to get his parents to put in money into the deal. They're going to get a little bit of ownership. So essentially, he needs $80,000 to close on this $1.2 million purchase because we're doing some seller standby. That $80,000 is going to come from his parents. It was going to come from an investor, but he decided to just keep it in the family. He has good credit. He has all the things. He's got a W-2. But that swap right there from a $60,000 W-2, now he's going to take on a $250,000 STE on this business, and that could grow significantly. So that's a no money down deal, right? So there's lots of ways to structure these deals. That's just one example that we see day in and day out, that you can bring in an investor partner that owns less than 20%. They don't need to guarantee the loan. So yes, you can make one move and triple your salary if you do it correctly.
So you often say wealth isn't built with money, it's built with structure. What does that mean in the context of buying a business?
So I think like this guy, really, if you look at him on paper, is kind of weak, to be able to buy $1.2 million business. But if you understand how to structure these deals, and he had a little bit of knowledge before he came to us, and he was actually declined by a local bank, and we got him approved. We have a letter of interest. He needs to get us a few more things before it gets a loan commitment, but I believe he will get a loan commitment. So I think the people that understand a little bit are coachable, like this guy's coachable, and we can show him, hey, this is how we have to structure the deal. 5% seller carryback from the seller on full standby. The other $150,000 or whatever it is can be a normal note, and then X amount in SBA financing. That's how we structured it. He needed to come in with 5% of his own funds. Well, that's his investor partner, which is his parents, which will own a portion of the business, less than 20%. That's the beauty of this, right? The new SOP, the new guidelines state that you have to come in with at least 5%. Before it was as low as there wasn't. You could, for a long time, you could, in theory, have no money down, but most banks said you need at least 5%, and some said, well, you need at least 2.5%. So no banks that I knew would actually do like no money, no skin in the deal. Now it's 5%. So if you got a 5% seller carryback on standby, you got to bring in 5% of the total project cost. And that could be an investor partner. So that is why you can structure these deals. A lot of people don't believe like, oh, you can't do 100% financing. Well, yeah, you can, but you got to structure. And that's what we're talking about here, structuring these deals.
Yeah, so can you dive a little deeper into that? Like, can you walk us through a real world example, maybe aside from this one, of a no money down or a very low capital deal that worked and what made it possible?
Sure. So there was a marina, and the gentleman buying the marina that got it under contract had just bought another property and didn't have any money to put down to this one. He needed essentially close to $200,000. So I helped him structure the financing, and my wife actually invested, and she owns 19%. I got another investor that put in money. He owns 19%. And then the borrower's brother owns, I think, 14%. And so the guarantor, who's the main owner, didn't put any of his own money in. he brought in 3 investor partners that all own less than 20%. And then we closed on it. And that was a $2 million transaction. So yeah, I see deals like this all the time because I think this is probably one of the biggest opportunities out there today. I mean, I don't want to mean like, I know you see all the gurus online and buy a business. A lot of it's true. I mean, it is a fantastic opportunity. You can find these businesses. There are a lot of baby boomers that are retiring. So I do believe it's an amazing opportunity, but it's going to be a lot of work to find that good deal, right? There's a lot of people looking for that good deal, and there's a lot of bad deals out there. But if you're able to find it and you understand the structuring, it can be a game changer for you, whoever's watching this right now. So are you only one deal away from a way different trajectory for your financial future? Absolutely. But you have to learn, and you have to study, and you have to know what a good business is, and you have to understand the financials and P&Ls and just because you can buy it doesn't mean you're going to be successful. You have to learn the skills of like, what am I getting myself into? What are the pain points of this business? How do I be a leader if I've never been a leader before? And banks now are tightening up. So you definitely want to show transferable experience. You got to get, we help you position to put you in the best light possible.
So how do seller financing and SBA loans fit together in these creative structures?
Sure. So if there's enough cash flow from the existing business, we underwrite off the tax returns of the seller's business. If there's enough cash flow that can debt service the loan, we can finance 90% of the total cost with an SBA loan, as long as they're debt services. That means you got to come in with 10% total project cost. So $1 million deal, $900,000 bank loan, $100,000 equity injection. Now, if it doesn't cash flow, or you can, even if it did cash flow, you can still get a seller second and maybe get a better rate. So your blended payment is a lot lower. A lot of strategy. Some people like to keep the seller involved on a second just to make sure, like, hey, I'm not getting into something and like they're cook the books, and I'm, like, you get them in the deal. You can do something called a performance note. So like if they don't hit certain benchmarks, their note goes bye-bye and you don't pay them back. I mean, it's legal. It's a legal document. It's not as easy. Hey, I'm not going to pay it back, but there's lots of things you can do. So it's not just that the business cash flows. Sometimes there's strategy to get a seller finance almost on every deal. So even if you can get the 90%, to get better payments, to keep the seller in your back pocket, because you might need to tap into them and they want you to be successful, or maybe the seller doesn't want to pay taxes on the full boat, so they'll do an installment sale. So understanding these different strategies will help you. So it pairs together really well. It's very typical to get seller financing in a business acquisition.
For someone watching who wants to start building deal flow, what are the first steps to take this week to spot these opportunities?
One is make a commitment to understand to start learning. What is my buy box? What do I really want to get into? I don't want to just buy a business to buy a business. I want to buy a business that I'm going to be successful in. And it's not just all about the money. It's about, like, what are my skills and what would I enjoy doing? Do I have a family? Do I want to do a business that's going to be like super gritty, or do I want something that's a very mature business where I can work on the business? So I would say really define your buy box. There's a lot of good resources out there, and really understand what you're looking for, because that's going to help you narrow your focus and go, okay, I'm not going to scroll. I know what I'm looking for. And then you're going to find that because you're just fixated on looking for something that is a good fit based on your homework you've done. That's the first step.
My last question. What's the mindset shift people need to make to see capital as abundant and not scarce?
I mean, I'm friends with a lot of successful people. I follow a lot of successful people. And the biggest thing I think is they're usually not smarter than any of us. It's just that they're action takers. They don't wait. They don't need to know every single detail. They learn enough and they go for it. And they're willing to take a little bit of calculated risks, because there's always going to be a risk element. So if you have that and you're fanatical, you almost have to be fanatical, meaning you have to be compulsive to, like, if you want to do something, like if I want to buy a house by the end of the year, a fixer upper, I have to be fanatical on, like, okay, where am I buying? I got to reach out to these agents. I got to look for distressed properties. How am I going to do that? You have to build those triggers for your business acquisition buy box, and then just stay super focused. And when you see something pop up, you pick up your phone and you start making calls. And when people know you're serious, that's how you're going to get the business, because they know you're serious. You're not kicking tires. You're already figured out what you want. They can sense that you've done your homework. They're more inclined to work with you.
So thanks for all that useful information, Beau. Leverage turns possibility into progress, and the people who understand how to use it will always move faster than those waiting to save enough. If you want to get into a business, expand your business, or find the right franchise, visit bookwithbeau.com. Thanks, Beau.
Thank you.
If you're a solopreneur or a small business owner, listen closely. Business growth isn't about working harder. It's about building smarter systems. It's about automation. And that's exactly what Go High Level Hire helps you do. Build your funnel, automate your follow-up, manage your team, all in one place. Click the link below, activate your trial, and see how much more efficient, automated, and profitable your business can be in just 30 days.
Hey guys, Beau Eckstein here. If you enjoyed what you saw, please subscribe to this channel. We talk all things financing. I've been in the lending industry for over 20 years, and I'm happy to answer your questions and provide great content.